morning. So, we are back. Some a little sooner than others. 38 days is very long, I just want to say. I was happy to come home. I love Sri Lanka, but I just needed to come home and have a steak. So, a little too much rice. We had an amazing time, and this was just above and beyond, I think, some of our kids' wildest dreams. They got to do things they never dreamed they would be able to do, like ride in the back of a lorry. So we are very thankful that we had a prayer group. We knew we had our backs were covered from the prayer. My mom would send clips every day of what you guys are praying for, and we are so thankful. I am so thankful because I knew God had our backs, and especially the three girls that seemed to attract every mosquito in all of the country. They'd come down, we have more bites. I'm like, did you not use spray? We use spray. So anyhow, I'm thankful. Thank you, all my prayer warriors, for covering us with the blood and keeping us safe. And so I'm going to call, each kid has something to say, and then I have a video presentation, and if we're still not done, Pastor Derek has a message that he will share, which he did. He shared a wonderful message with translation, because that's always the best. I never remember to stop long enough to let them translate, so I'm really bad at that. So we're going to start with Katie, and then I'll just pick people randomly because they love speaking in public. This is they couldn't wait to get home to do this, let me tell you. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Katie, as she just said. So I have to stand up? Okay. Hi, so I will be talking about some of my favorite experiences in Sri Lanka. So my first favorite experience was the campfire night, and you're probably going to hear a lot of people say that because it really was amazing. What was so great about it is just seeing the kids so excited and happy and seeing them so enthusiastic. I also got to bond with some kids during that. We played tag, we were just silly, we did songs, and then later on, when it was darker at nighttime and the older kids were mainly there, we danced to live music, and that was really thrilling. My second favorite experience was when we were walking around a lake in the city, and I got to hold a snake around my neck. That was so cool. It was like this big, this wide, and I had to hold its head up, and very cool. I want a snake very badly now.
That is where Mrs. Anderson says, you're on your own, and she goes to the other side of the street.
I also got to hold a monkey on my shoulder twice, so that was also pretty cool. My third favorite experience was a movie night that we had. So it was just later in the evening, and us girls, we started an action movie, and then some guys came up. And afterwards, when we were supposed to go to bed, some of us stayed up, and we talked until 2 a.m., so that was pretty fun, connected through that. My fourth favorite experience was a hike we did to, I think it's pronounced Sigiriya. It was one of the 7 wonders of the world, not anymore, but it was really cool. It was hot, very hot, but when we got to the top, we got to see a bunch of ruins, and we got to see some really old paintings, and we saw some wild monkeys wrestling and playing with each other, so that was really cool. Miss Allspot also got attacked by a monkey, almost attacked, so that was an interesting experience. And then my fifth favorite experience was seeing the elephants. That was just incredible. They are such cool creatures, and it was so cool to watch them walk around and interact with each other and eat. And then we got to bathe them, and we were taking this group photo, and somebody told me to go underneath the elephant's head. I didn't know what was happening. I was a bit scared, and then the elephant sprayed me with water, so I did get a shower from that. So those were definitely my favorite experiences, but overall I just loved spending every day with my friends and getting to know them. It was really cool to just live in such close proximity with each other and get to see each other every day. Some things I learned from the experience was to be thankful for what you have and to always have a positive outlook on life, because we saw these kids who had basically nothing, and some of them were starving, and they would always come to the center smiling and happy and excited. So it's just a good reminder, we have so much here, and yet it can be so easy to have a pessimistic outlook on life when really we have no excuse, and it just makes a difference to just choose to be positive. So that's something I learned. And another thing was that you will enjoy serving others more than just relaxing. So I like the idea of a grad trip, but to be honest, the idea of going there and working all the time sounded not really relaxing, and I wasn't sure if I would 100% enjoy it, but I really did. And I found that when you give your time and you put others first, it really makes both of you guys feel happier in the end. So that's what I learned, and it was a great time. I recommend it.
Hi, my name's Ethan. Today, I don't like this. What do I have? Okay, there you go. My top 5. My 5 favorite things about Sri Lanka, or doing it there. I guess the first, number 1 would be going to church for the first time at Sri Lanka. It was very different, much smaller than this huge room. But it felt like home. Even though I didn't understand what they were saying or what they were singing, there were some translations, but I could guess by the hum or the sound of the music, it sounds similar to ours. But the one thing that was consistent is that I can feel the Holy Spirit there, and that felt like home. And that made me feel really welcomed. Now I actually have to pull my phone out for this one. Number 2, teaching in an art class. I had a chance to teach a lot of kids how to draw, and it was very nerve-wracking. I didn't like it. It was hard. But eventually I enjoyed it, and it was awesome to see all the kids develop. Number 3, as Katie said, holding a snake. I like to say the snake actually liked me and didn't try to get away from me. All of them, they try to get away from them, but not for me. It liked me, but I don't want a snake. And number 4, getting closer to all of them. It was really nice to have a chance to get to know everybody, and really nice to have a chance to pray for people, in our group. It was nice to have that chance. And I think number 5 is having a huge campfire, as Katie said. We had a huge campfire. We played and danced. We made s'mores for them. It was really awesome. And at night, with all the older kids, we danced all night. It was exhausting. But it was awesome. It was great. Yes, Katie?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. What did I learn? What I learned is that I should be grateful for what I have. Because it's easy to be in that mindset that I don't have enough. I should have the most high-tech stuff. I should have the better phone, or I should have something better. But in Sri Lanka, they have not a lot. They're just trying to survive, but they're still happy. But it's hard for us to be happy. So I want to try to be more like them, to be happy with what I have, and to be grateful. And so that's all I have.
Hello. Hi. My name is Sue. Okay, I'm just going to say I'm really nervous. Okay. Okay, so, we were, Pastor Lucas, we were in Sri Lanka for almost 3 weeks, and I do have to say it is one of the most amazing trips I've ever been on, and I just made so much good memories with all these people here and the people there. So I would like to start by sharing what I shared in Sri Lanka with the Bud Center staff and the people here. So I still clearly remember the first day I walked into the center, and the kids started coming in, every single one of them had this big smile. That somehow really touched my heart, because I know that it's not easy, because some of them don't get food and don't have a great family life, but they were also happy. And just talking to them, well, not really talking, but making eye contact, the smiling, that was really big for me. I love people, and although there was that big language barrier, that was huge. I was able to communicate without actually talking, which was pretty cool. And that actually, seeing their smiles kind of reminded me how I was meant to be there. Like, God meant for me to be there, because before the trip, I had this big like anxiety, like fear about how, because we are like the representatives of like the church and the Westside going to Sri Lanka, I had this like pressure, I guess, in a way, of making a big difference, having to like do something big, and right? But when I got there, just seeing their smiles and making them happy and laughing, talking to them, that just made me realize that, yeah, I'm meant to be there, and even small differences is big to them. And so that was a big lesson for me. So I actually have this scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. I'm sure some of you guys know. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." So this was the scripture that was in my head that morning. And I was like, why? But then I realized when I saw the kids' smiles, I'm like, yeah, it's meant to be. He had a plan for me, and this is why. And me being here will change something, although it might not be big. Yeah, so that was a huge thing for me. And I also want to share how on the second week, we went to this different church. It was a more poor area of Sri Lanka. And when we walked in, I saw these kids that were very, very skinny, but they had really big, like, bloated bellies. And I researched when I got home, because I just wanted to know more about it. So it's when kids don't get enough, like, protein or food. So they will be very skinny, but then because they don't have enough protein in their body, it will fill up with fluid and gas. So yeah, and I met this 16-year-old girl there. She lives close to the church, and we could see her house when we were walking out the church, and it's literally nothing. It's not, you can't even call it a house. There's no walls, and yeah, she was living there with her little siblings, and yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, seeing that was hard. And yeah, there was another little 2-year-old, was it, that had a tick in his ear, and they couldn't get it out because like they couldn't go to the hospital, no money to afford it and all that. And while we were there, we just heard the baby crying, and yeah, it's a lot for a 2-year-old to be going through. It's not something that they should be going through, but apparently they got it out though, right? Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, so that really, like Katie and Ethan mentioned, that really taught me how blessed I am being in this country with like money and just all of that. Yeah, compared to them. And last thing I want to share is the music class that I taught with Nathan. We taught some of the kids there. Nathan taught one of the kids piano, and I taught more of the younger kids like singing vocal. And they didn't really get it because we taught English songs, but at the end we just repeated a lyric from Photograph by Ed Sheeran over and over and over again, and it was amazing, I have to say, singing all together, and yeah, that was just amazing. So that was one of my big highlights. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I mean Dennis the Menace.
I don't know why she's calling me that, for the record. I was an angel the whole time.
Let me tell you, Alex rang through the valley many times. Put your shoes on. Put your shirt on. Alex, Clean your foot up. Anyhow,
I have no memory of this.
don't lose your passport.
Only happened once. First flight from Prince George to Vancouver, I had to run back onto the plane looking for my passport because I left it on the plane. Anyways, I made sure to keep it nice and safe after that, with Josh, not with me. As he mentioned earlier, he did help take care of me a little bit on that trip. I was a bit disorganized. Anyways, moving on. So the 5 things that I have are things everyone has said already, but I still feel like they were the most important parts to me of the trip. So starting off with number 1, I'd say it would be the campfire night. It was just the first night that we got to interact with the kids. I got to really talk with a few of the older ones for the first time, and it was just great to connect with them. Starting with that point, it was where we all just really connected. Sigiriya as well was lots of fun, just to see the old ruins and climb all the way up to the top and see all of that stuff. I also really enjoyed playing volleyball with all the kids. They were all extremely good. There was 15 of them roughly that would show up every day on a good day when it wasn't raining. It rained almost every day while we were there, but it didn't help with the volleyball playing, but we still tried every day, and playing with them was just a lot of fun. It was just another way to interact with them, even though there was a huge language barrier. It just felt like we were still like having fun just with the kids, and that was great. I enjoyed the elephants. The elephants was fun. I've never thought I would ever get to be that close to an elephant or ride one, let alone. And getting sprayed, like as Katie mentioned, that was not fun. The water that they sprayed us with was questionable, to say the least. So I did not enjoy that experience, but it was still memorable and fun. And just getting to know everyone a lot better, just talking with people I'd never talked with as much, and just getting to know everyone better was a great experience for me. My main takeaways from this trip are that I'm not a morning person. It helped with it's where most of Josh helping me came from. I would always be missing something, whether it be my wallet or my passport, or my bedding would be everywhere, my shoes. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. I was just a mess most mornings, but I learned how to. Throughout the trip, I got better, I think. Thank you.
He only left his water bottle.
Yeah, I did forget that there after I left, but did you bring that back, by the way? You didn't? Oh, thanks. Anyways, another takeaway I had was that no matter where you are in the world, kids are the same. It doesn't matter whether they grow up here in Canada, they grow up there in Sri Lanka. They're just the same wherever you go. It was just fun to see that. They would always, like the older ones, they'd be teasing each other. The younger ones would be running around playing tag outside. They'd be just using whatever they had to have fun, just like how I remember my childhood. So that was amazing. And yeah, that's about all I have. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Antonia, as Mrs. A said. So this trip, at first, I was scared because the day before we left, people were making jokes, oh, you're going to get food poisoning, and you're going to get shot. And so I was a bit scared going into the... They said that. You said that. So I was a bit scared going into the trip, but we got there, and it was such an amazing trip, and I want to go back again. You learn so much. Like, we as a group, we bonded so much. You're forced to live with them, so they become like your family. And I think we all grew so much closer. But you also learn about yourself. Like, you come to realize how much we have to be grateful for. Like, the kids there, they don't have much, but they're still so happy. And they pass that happiness on to us. Like, we were always so excited to spend time with them. So it was just cool to see, like how Alex said, it doesn't matter where you're from, what you've gone through, you can always bond and connect with the people, and then just show love and kindness to everyone. So yeah, I learned a lot of gratitude. Like, I came back here, and when I saw my family, I was like, thank you guys for everything you've given me, because we are so privileged. And then that led me to the next thought is, with all the privilege we have, we should really make an effort to go out and help the people, because we have the opportunity to do so. And even just through the smallest things, like giving a smile, a high five, handing out meals. We handed out meals every day because they don't get much food. It's through those small things that we can show love and we can bond. And yeah, that was pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. So you remember Josh said he got to ride a lorry? I was there with him, right next to him. It was me, him, Nish, and Nish's brother. What was his name again? Melinda. Very great guy. So yeah, that was a crazy experience. We were standing up in it. We were just, holding on for dear life, because in Sri Lanka the roads are very, it was a lot of rocking back and forth and hoping you don't fall. At one point, a branch actually smacked me in the face. So, because they don't like cut those because they don't intend for you to be standing. But yeah. Anyway, I'd say that's definitely a highlight. Another highlight, probably the thing I would most frequently think of now, coming back from the trip, was just the bus rides. We had to, everywhere we would go, Sigiriya, we'd go to Narilia, which is Little Canada in Sri Lanka, because it's got a colder climate. They called it Little Canada. It's funny. Everywhere we went, it was always like a 4-hour drive in our bus that we rented, and they were really fun. I'm definitely a road trip kind of guy, and so I really enjoyed it. No matter who I was sitting next to, we'd have a conversation, and I'd get to know a little bit. It was always really fun. My favorite person I got to sit next to was Nish's son, Jaden. He's a really cool dude who loves Batman, and he has a lot to say, and he's got good questions for you to answer, I love that kid. But yeah, I think all the kids were just amazing. They were just so cool to get to know. They kicked my butt in this flicking game that was like pool mixed with checkers and mixed with, I don't know. I got to learn some board games. They were cool. But yeah, and then music class with Sue. She and I got to teach a music class, got to teach them Ed Sheeran songs, and and they taught us a song as well. It was really cool, and it was, I don't know, that definitely just rings in my ear. That was a really cool experience. I don't know, but what I take away from that trip as a whole, I think, is that I and everyone on this trip and everyone here has so much to give, so much more to give than you think, And so I think, you should utilize that.
So I'm going to ask Kalen some questions because this is definitely really, he's told me, out of his wheelhouse. When Kalen arrived and stood above these kids, they were like totally taken back because it was like Goliath arrived in their household. And they could not believe how tall he was. And he really struggled. We really struggled finding clothes for him. So his sarong doesn't fit, his bud shirt, I think we have to cut it, split in half. So, Kalen, it was quite an adventure for Kalen, wasn't it? Yes. Kalen had a wonderful phone, didn't you, Kalen? Kalen had a beautiful phone that he had just bought, and Kalen lost that phone to a tuk-tuk. The hard way. Yes, that's so. But you know what? What I appreciated about Kalen was, even in the midst of the heartbreak of this cell phone being destroyed by a tuk-tuk, he was asked to make a decision of how he was going to respond and what we were going to do. And he says, I need a couple minutes. And so he took his few minutes, and then he answered me with a very mature answer and said, this is what I'm going to do. And a high five to Kalen, because it could have been devastating for the rest of the trip for him. But he chose to make the right decision, and he chose to continue on. And for Kalen, that was a milestone, wasn't it? Yeah. What was your favorite thing in the trip?
See, my favorite thing is probably like all of the nature that's in Sri Lanka. This one doesn't work. The nature that's in Sri Lanka and all like the plants and wildlife and stuff. But like my second favorite part, and it's close second, is playing volleyball with the kids, because they were really, really good, except I was the only one who could reach all the way over the net. So I could block basically anything that went above that. But yeah, that was the best part of the whole trip, because it was really fun to play with them, because they would like jump up like very high off the ground, and they'd like spike it straight into the ground, because they were really, really good at it. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see them play.
Not only that, we had to stick him in a plane.
Yeah.
So we are thankful he can still walk, because his legs are pretty long. Yeah, but God was faithful for Kalen, and he met a lot of Kalen's cries and prayers, and even the air mattresses that he had to keep blowing up every day. But we are thankful for Kalen. We are thankful that he came, and I'm thankful that he came to talk, even though we might have had to drag him here, right? Yeah. Just slightly. Thank you, Kalen.
My name's Tina. I've been part of Westside pretty much all my life. My kids have gone to Westside, and I've been given the opportunity that this was my third trip to go. And Nish has convinced me that his God and my God has to pray and talk to Wayne's God that I can move to Sri Lanka for 6 months out of the year. So that means that Chris and Nish can come back to Canada for those 6 months. So no, it's so much fun going on these trips. I grow and stretch every time. Every time. And it's always a blessing to get to know all the kids. I only knew a few of them, and getting to know them more and more over the trip is great. It's amazing, like Ethan said, that when we go to church there, you're just part of it. Like, to see God work everywhere without knowing the language, you just feel the Spirit of God. And being in a Spirit-led church, it speaks volumes than going to one of those churches I've been to down south where it's very rehearsed and very like broadcast so everybody can see, but you just don't feel Spirit there. But when we were in Sri Lanka, you just felt God as soon as you walked in with the people. And Cheryl and I did not know that in the contract of going to Sri Lanka, very small print, that we become the two people that pray for everybody in the church after service. So that was really growing and stretching for me. And it was amazing just to see how we parent here is a lot different. We let go of our kids here. In Sri Lanka, you don't. You hold on to your kids. As a mom, like, your kids make their decisions based on what you want them to do almost. And so one of the moms was wanting to go abroad, and her son and all this, and how she felt being a single mom, wrong person to talk to about that, that her kids need to work for her now and support her so that she can do what she wants to do. And so when Nish's brother's wife, the pastor there, she's like, can you guys pray for her and talk to her? And Cheryl and I both looked at each other and we're like, does she really want to hear what we have to say? So we just talked to her and we're like, what was on our heart? You have to learn to let go of your kids. You can't always you have to trust God. If you really trust God, you got to just pray and then just let it go. So it's really nice just to see that we can minister to people and have a translator, even though we weren't part of that culture. They still wanted us to be part of it. And the food there, amazing. I could eat all the gluten in the world there. I had my first Big Mac in like 3 years. It was wonderful. Here, you can't have that. So Derek has become known as my Sri Lankan husband when we go, because we've been on trips together. So everybody's like, "Oh, you," and we're like, "No." So we always had to tell the story about how we've known each other since we were kids. And then I even got asked if I was Pastor Marlowe's daughter-in-law, if I was married to one of his sons. I'm like, "No, I'm not married to anybody," right? So it's pretty fun that now I think it's convinced us taking videos and sending them home that hopefully my husband and Susie will come on a trip one day, because it's just so much fun there, and you just grow and stretch, and it's a blessing to go every time. So thank you.
So I guess that's me. I'm up now. Yes, as Katie mentioned, if monkeys don't have pants, they're not nice. If they have pants, they're cute. Very interesting experience with that. But amongst all of like the touristy things that we got to go do, which was a lot of fun, I think the thing for me that was really cool was just the boldness with which faith was expressed when we were in church. And like in between every worship song, there was pause, there was just praise and accolades and prayers that were happening, and I had no idea what was being said, but I knew that they were praying to God, and I knew that they were thanking him for who he is. And so it was easy enough to join in with that, because I'm like, well, we serve the same God, so let's just pray and worship together. And then in the services when we were singing, I was like, I don't know what we're singing, but I'm just going to praise Jesus in English, and then they're going to praise in Singhala. And it was just so cool to praise in different languages all at the same time, and just get this tiny little glimpse as to what God experiences when we all are lifting up our praise to him in all different languages all around the world. And it was just so cool to be a part of that. And it was really neat to get to hang out with all of these guys and get to know them a lot better, have some really good talks, and just hanging out. And it was just a really special experience, and I was really sad to have to come back, but my favorite thing there was just building relationship with Nish and Kristen, with their kids, with the kids at the center, with the staff at the center, just building relationships and just talking about God together, and just connecting and relating despite language barriers. We were able to still communicate in such a special way. So that was the trip for me.
Okay. So we arrived in Great Britain, and we did a very, very fast run, get on the bus. It was cold. We made it to Buckingham Palace. We had to run. We took a picture, and then we ran back. We saw, it was good. It was fast. We arrived in Sri Lanka. If you guys want to look at the pictures, you can. We arrived in Sri Lanka. We arrived at the guest house. The guest house is beautiful, amazing, has cold showers, but in that heat, who cared? This is the building that we started the last trip that we were there before we had to run for our lives. So it's amazing. We arrived in the center, and the kids greeted us, and they provided a whole show. The girls danced, the boys sang. It was amazing. They have between 50 and 85 kids that arrive almost every day, Tuesday to Saturday. And so they provided us with our beautiful skirts and sarongs. This is at the Sacred Lake, our whole group, minus Kristen, who's taking the picture. This is in Kandy. Kandy is the second biggest city, and it's also where the last king lived before the British took his head. So here we are. We arrived in the center, and we have a bunch of the older kids. I think we were going to play a game. And then we taught lots of classes. Everyone took different classes. We had English classes. We had music classes. We had math classes, English classes, art classes, as we've all heard, and they all did an amazing job. So even though they tell you they can't do things, it's not true. They can. They all were amazing. We were in a hardware store, Sue, Jordan and I, we had to go buy paint because we did some painting, and it was very claustrophobic. The rebar was on the floor. It was terrifying. I just prayed that no one would, impale themselves on anything. So this is where the kids went, Sigiriya. It's an amazing view. They climbed it. I took a tour around it in a tuk-tuk. I felt that was far more beneficial for my health. Well, I mean, why? Who wants to climb up those stairs? Really? Anyhow, though it is an amazing architectural feat, I am told. So, there you go. We're getting ready for church. Josh can rock his sarong, as you can see. He's just in it to win it. Derek preached, Nish translated, and Derek did an amazing job. Amazing job. He is a pastor. Don't let him tell you any different. We went to the cultural dance, which is quite amazing. I didn't put the video in it, but they eat fire, they walk on flames, the whole thing. It's very cool. And obviously you can take pictures with them. So again, we're in every day. We start off with groups. Everyone comes into the one main area. They sing songs, they do their announcements and everything, and then everyone splits into their classes. We went to the botanical garden, and this is one of those amazing trees. This garden's over 200 years old. It's huge. We had a shuttle, but we walked it the last time with the second group, and it took a few hours. This is the grad group. We went up to Nariliya. This is Nish's. Nish has a lot of cousins and family that spread throughout Sri Lanka. So anyhow, we went to his cousin's restaurant, and we had lunch up in Nariliya, and it was amazing. The food is amazing. This is at a tea plantation. We wandered up into the tea plants. These are the two of the ladies that were up there actually plucking the leaves and putting them in the bag that hangs off their head, and they talked to our group, sort of. Elena probably knows most of the Sinhala, and she actually does more communication than the rest of us, so she took time to learn that. We were eating food. Everything there they eat with their hands. It was kind of wrecking my nails, so at the odd time I had to go find a fork, because it was wrecking my nails. They were turning yellow. I don't know. Anyhow, it was very good. Nish and Kristen are amazing at being hospitable. They cooked, and they provide lunch. Every day there is food provided for those kids. Nish cooks, and there is families there that is their one meal a day that they provide to those kids. They have kids as young as 3 that show up at the center, and they have the volleyball kids that the kids were talking about are in their 20s, and they still feed them when they come. There's just not enough to go around. So here, Antonia and Katie are teaching math? And we were painting the wall. So that first group, so Kyla's group was there. They painted this wall, and it had totally faded. So we gave it a facelift. Sue with some of the older boys. We were getting ready to go do something because we're high-fiving. They high-five everyone when they leave, high-five everyone when they come. So we worked on different painting jobs. This says the Bud Center when it's done. Nathan and Kaylin were teaching a class. Sue and Josh. Oh, this is my favorite class because Sue was slaying and JKing, and she was doing all these cool things, and we're like, anyhow, by the time they were done, they wished we weren't in that class because we totally used it against them for the rest of the week. And they were like, you're too old to use those terms. Anyhow. So the campfire. this is the highlight. They all know when the Canadians come, the campfire is going to happen. This was started with a jug of kerosene. I literally mean a jug. Nalinda is a firebug. He was like just pouring it on. So the thing about the campfire is at 6 o'clock or 6:30 when it gets dark, all the kids are required to be at home, especially the girls. And so the parents came and sat so that their kids could stay. And, you know, they wanted... I don't know how they expected us to roast marshmallows and hot dogs, but we literally were getting like flaming burns, you know, because it's like so big and so hot, you know. It's like, it's okay, guys. They were standing like 4 feet away. It was hilarious. You can see they were trying to shield their faces. So the kids were also, so we had that, and we were also providing, like we said, we had hot dogs and drinks and s'mores and the whole thing. And we did dances, and we made the older boys join to their great horror. They had to do the chicken dance. And we danced and sang. Let's see. Do you have volume up on the TV? I'm pretty sure I have volume on mine. So when Ethan said he was exhausted, because it started at 3 and it went all night, right? So there was around 150 people there that we fed. And Sam just DJ'd from the top, as you can hear. Yeah, they had lots of fun. Yep. Okay, now, well, that's fun. Let's see, will it let me move on? Okay, so this is the evening. Now, the voices that you're going to hear sing are the boys. They have a drum, and it's just voices. And they just sang for, I don't know, 2 hours straight. Here's our music class. That's who and Nathan were talking about, and Danette. Danette was one of the boys that he was learning how to play the song. The Bud Center. Our creative Ethan was busy, very busy. He created, and then he drew. Derek outlined, and the rest of us painted, according to Ethan's schedule and paint. We all had to fall in line, didn't we, Ethan? He did a phenomenal job. We did a mothers group. Mothers meet every Friday, And so Tina and I shared with the mums. We played the what if game, sort of. And then Elena had cooked 100 cupcakes, and the mums decorated them. And then we handed them out to the kids. Here's the picture that Katie was talking about, where she ate the questionable water. We provided, like we said, we made meals. Kristen and Elena were cooking this one. And then all the kids funnel through. They all wait their turns. They come in, they get their food. Oh, here's the lorry. It is full of hampers. We went and purchased, by the time we were all said and done, around 60 hampers. They were distributed to the families in the Bud Center and to that other area that we went to. It is a Tamil area. And like Sue was saying, there is a great need. So we provided for that. And so the boys went to get all the packages that we had purchased and then rode in the lorry. Though I did say to Nish this would be cheaper than renting a bus if he just bought a couple trucks. We could just haul the luggage and us in the back of the trucks and we'd be good to go, right? No one has a problem with that, right? So here we are preparing these. They all got a bag of rice. They got spices. They got baby formula. They had toothpaste. They had tuna, just everything that you can imagine. This is in the Tamil village. They were quite enthralled with Jordan and Nathan. So we were handing out the hampers to these Tamil families.
Keep the mic near you.
Oh, sorry. We were handing out hampers to the Tamil families, and when we were finished, we still didn't have enough, so we had to go home and make 10 more. This is the girl that, you can't see, I'm pointing at. So the girl in the black flower dress right in the middle is the girl that Sue was talking about that doesn't have much of a home, and she, in the end, ended up giving her hamper to another family so that they would have food over her and her 2 siblings. We got her a hamper later. We went home and made one. So this is a picture of everyone before we left. This is in Gaul. Gaul was quite an adventure for all of us. It is, Fort Gaul is built by the Dutch in the 1600s, and it's a walled city. And so this is how we ended our trip. We went there and we went swimming, and we had an amazing time. A few people were slightly burnt. Alex, Nathan, Katie. They had a wonderful ride home, I heard. The plane trip was awesome. These 3 kids rented this bike-ish thing. They had quite an adventure. They had to get the Italian restaurant to help them put the pedals back on. But they were very grateful that, the whole restaurant pitched in to help them. This is how we ended this is how we rolled right out of Sri Lanka, getting hammered by the waves. It was quite an amazing, yeah, Nathan, that would be you, getting rolled there. I loved it. And then we moved on to our second group. Grace, Megan, and Jesse came in, and they came and handled, these are the last 10 of those hampers I was talking about. So then they had New Year's for Sinhala and Tamil when we were there. And so we had to clean the jungle. I'm sorry. We had to literally sweep the leaves up in the jungle to clean it. I can't. Anyhow, so we cleaned the jungle and put down the volleyball net, and we started prepping for this. A week before it starts, there's firecrackers. There's firecrackers in the morning, there's firecrackers at night. The bigger the noise, the happier they are. By the end, I was annoyed because it never ended. It sounds like gunshots 24/7. And in the process, Nish thought it would be funny to start shooting firecrackers at the Bud House. And he managed to hit one with a rock. It went right through into my bedroom and exploded. There is now black marks where it was awesome. I had some very choice words to say to that man as he sat laughing his head off. Jesse worked. He was busy cleaning up. They cleaned a whole section of Chris and Nish's land. They were cutting down trees, which they used for the festival. As you can see, it's very beautiful there. Jesse had a very safe ladder with an axe. I'm sure it was work compensation, considering he had no shoes on and everything else. So all good. Grace and Megan played, and Elena were playing games with the kids. This is the flicky game that Nathan was talking about. There's a combination of many that the kids are very good at. We were working for the festival, so they were creating a craft there, Grace and Megan, with the kids. Elena was teaching the advanced English classes for Nish, because Nish was busy, so she took it on and had a great time. So this is all the volleyball boys. Another ministry that they're running is that they have a volleyball court, and they open that court up, and the village boys come and play. And they feed them, and they're being able to speak into their lives 24/7. All these kids are Buddhist, and they have a group of kids within this. This is the center kids that have grown up through the center. One of those kids is Christian. The rest are Buddhist. But they come and they serve with Chris and Nish. They do errands for them. They came and helped plan the festival. I walked into the office and there was like 4 or 5 guys sitting there planning with them. What a ministry, what community. It's huge. And whenever, if they have to shut the center down for anything, this is their lifeline. This is where they come to feel loved. These kids are 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. They're older, but this is where they come to feel loved, and their security is there. So they played a game for 2 hours. They had a festival, and then there was a champion. As you can see, there was trophies and everything, and they were pretty stoked. Oops, going the wrong way. The festival, there was over 300 people show up, moms, dads, kids. It was hot, it was crazy, it was like a mammoth sports day. Everything under the sun. Moms got involved. Oh my goodness, moms got involved. And they brought the drum kit, and they sang and danced. This was a pole, one of the poles that Jesse cut down, and the idea is to get to the end of the red flag. They greased it. Yeah. Happy to say that everyone's still okay, but there was a few. So dads would stand there and catch them as they fell off. Again, very safe. We held Bud Center princesses and princes, and I was a judge, and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to run because these parents are very intense. Vasana and Kavishka were 2 of the workers there. We had, I'll just let you, this is Nish and his family. I'll show you why. This is New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day. We were at Nish's brother's house, and, the men had to get out there and start lighting firecrackers. Right? Best thing ever, right? All day, all night. So this is the thing. I mean, they lit firecrackers over the volleyball boys' heads while they were playing, because why wouldn't you? They have a coin in flour, and they have to find it with their mouth. So here are our little princesses. They're very cute. And some more games. We're getting ready to leave. The mums came in, handed out us cards and gifts, and the kids, Lena was, she started off with one kid wanting a picture, and everyone else joined. We're on the train station, getting ready to come home. That's quite an adventure in itself. We went on a safari, and we had a great time. That's how we ended our trip. We got to see a leopard. And so we are very thankful for everything that we got to do. We are very thankful for all the prayer that you guys supported us with. And it was an amazing trip. We can't wait to go back again. My grade 11s have already sat me down, and they're ready to plan and what we're going to do next year. And yeah, so all the money that we took with us, we, supported the campfire. Well, we provided everything for the campfire, and we provided everything for the New Year's celebration, and we did all our hampers, and we provided food for the center for about a month to feed the children. So we are thankful and blessed for all your guys' support, and we just pray for Kristen and Nish as they're trying to make their way home. Nish needs his travel document, which sounds so easy, but everything's striking here again, and things just get caught up in the middle of a void of nothing. Pray for his permanent resident that it goes through, and there's just so many moving parts for him. I just pray, God, I pray that you guys will continue to uplift him in your prayers, and just keep thinking and praying over that for him and them, so that they can come home. They need to come home. They need to get some more fundraising done and to support their center. It is growing, and when you feed kids every day, 5 days a week, that is a financial drain. So I leave that with you, and thank you. Oh, Derek, you better come up and say, Lise, you know what? We're so late. Come, whatever. Did you actually just bobble your head at me? That was actually impressive.
Thank you. That's what I do. I'm going to sit down too, so nobody can see me. Yeah, wow. Once, I think it's been said many times, but there's one person in this room that started this all, and it's Pastor Arlo. And legacy is immense. I want to say it's everything. I'm sure there's more, but legacy is pretty impressive. Because Pastor Arlo went there, Kristen went there. Because Kristen went there, I went there. And I've been there 3 times, and I will continue to go back as long as I can. Susie asked Jesse when he got home, would you go back? And right away he said yes. And the dad in me was like, why? I'm the 4-year-old now. It's because of the people. It's not because of the experience. It's not because of the fun things we get to do. It's not because, well, it might be because of the food, but because I love the food. I love curry. Oh, man, I love curry. and short eats. It's because of the people. And we all connected in different ways. We all connected to whether it was the kids, or it was the staff, or it was somebody in the community, or it was Kristen and Nish. Kristen and Nish are my draw. And I think a lot of us, we love them. And something that Kristen and I talked about while we were there was like, we're family. She's my family. Nish is my family. And that won't ever change. We talked about eternity. We got to experience Grandma's funeral, her celebration of life, while we were there, and eternity is a place that we all get to spend forever together. So, on that note, if you have a problem with somebody, let's sort it out now. It's totally worth it. It's totally worth sorting out. But anyways, yeah, we had an amazing time, and it's the people that make it. It's the relationships. That's why I go back. I mean, the kids were amazing. I only knew a few, and now I know a lot, a little bit better, and it was incredible. The kids were absolutely stunning. They represented Jesus well. Whether that was intentional or not, they represented him well, and therefore represented us well. So thank you for your prayers. Thank you for the financial support, because all of that didn't just happen from the kids' fundraising, I'm pretty sure, although I know they worked really hard. So, yeah. And if you ever want to go, talk to Pastor Lucas. Yeah, it's totally worth it. It'll change your life. It will totally change your life.
Yes, I see what time it is. I will try not to preach. For those of you that went, I've seen lots of people come and go, and I've gone there 3 times. And I hear so many fun stories, and I hear that this really changed my life. You actually have a choice today and every day that you wake up. Will this actually change your life? That's the challenge. Yeah, we worked hard, we sent you there for all the experiences, the memories, and whatever. But really, our job as a community, as a church community, as a school community, isn't to give you great experiences. It's to help you find what God's purpose for your life is. Will you allow this to actually change maybe what your future plans are? You went there with one idea. Did you really change? And what's the God purpose in your life? And for all of us, 1 Corinthians 12 talks about one body, many parts. You all went to Sri Lanka because you all poured in. But I think we need to take the challenge that they brought back to us really serious. Places like the Bud Center need money. Maybe you're not one of the goers. Not everybody is a goer and going to do the thing. Most of us are stayers and builders. Well, the question is what are you building? What are you sowing your time and your money and your energy into? Because it clearly produces great results, doesn't it? So what's the next thing that God's asking you to put your time and attention to? Just a couple little thoughts. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for the safety in travel. We thank you that we had only one lost and then found passport. We thank you that everybody made it there and back again. And we're just so grateful because these are our kids. These are our family. It's part of our body, and we care about them deeply, and obviously you do too. So we just lift up the Bud Center to you, all the work that happened in Sri Lanka. We just commit it to you, and we ask, God, that you would double the results. We sowed seed, you bring the harvest. And we ask that you would just make it explode. Make it a huge harvest in the hearts of those that went and the hearts of the people that are there. Make a long-lasting, like Derek said, legacy through the lives that went. We thank you and we trust you. In Jesus' name, amen. Sorry, Sunday school teachers.